All right, glad to be back with y'all. And hopefully, in this video, I don't Elizabeth Warren myself, which means piss off everyone and have no base. But hey, if I do it, I do it. I always speak my mind. So it is what it is. I know people hate that saying, but I love it. I'm say it one more time. It is what it is. So this is about reparations and also about the black vote coming up in the election. Now, reparations is a polarizing topic, and you have actually just straight up racist views on reparations, talking about that, oh, we shouldn't get anything and slavery was over 400 something years ago. Let me tell you something. It's not just slavery, it's Jim Crow's laws, it's institutionalized racism. I mean, hell, they just now about to pass an anti-lynching bill in 2020. Let that marinate in your head. So it's not just about slavery. And slavery, even if it was just about slavery, that's good enough. Read Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow and Mass Incarceration. There's so many reasons why black people want reparations. Not to mention when we did get a leg up economically. For example, everybody used Black Wall Street, how it was a rich black neighborhood and was tore down. But that's just one example. That happened all around the country. You had black communities that was well to do or middle class that got burnt down all across the country. So that's the reason we need reparations. And also with some of these universal programs like the GI Bill after World War II. When white veterans came back, they was able to get it. They was able to buy homes with their veteran benefits. Black people didn't get the same opportunities when they came back from the war. We got redlined, and it's more than just not black people being able to move to certain neighborhoods. It was harder for us to get loans. It was blockbusting. A whole bunch of these issues affected our wealth. And because we wasn't able to get the loans like that, a lot of black people to buy homes, they had to do rent to own. And when you have to do something like that, that means if you miss a payment, the deal could be completely done. Also, you get overcharged. So it was a bunch of different reasons that contribute to black people being in the economic position that we in now. Economic literacy too is a big reason. So reparations is definitely needed, and I support it 100%. Hopefully everybody watched this whole video though, because that's just one part of it. Now, when it comes to reparations and voting, there's been a big movement from black people even before the ADOS movement. Tasihani Coates wrote the case for reparations back in, I believe, 2016, and it was a wonderful write up. Everybody should go and look at it. Everybody read it. He breaks down the case perfectly. And then you had, ADOS popped up, and I guess FBA, Foundational Black Americans, and basically a whole bunch of, especially younger black people, that said that, no reparations, no vote. And I completely understand. And a lot of it is the Democratic Party fought for breaking a lot of promises to us, only coming around our communities every 4 years. So I understand it. And I completely support why people feel that way. However, I think some of it is cutting your nose off to spite your face. That old saying, because we have more issues in the black community besides reparations that we have to look at when we vote. Um, and the reason why I wanted to do this topic is because Bernie Sanders been getting slammed by a lot of black people, and I think you know at least half of it is justified. At least half of it, maybe even more, because as I stated before, his answer on reparations when he was first asked this election cycle was terrible, and he had 4 years to come up with a better answer. He didn't even go to the default route of supporting HR 40 in the House of Representatives. He just straight up said, no, I don't support cash reparations. Bad answer. it is a terrible answer because you support so many other controversial um, proposals, at least controversial to the mainstream. So the way a lot of younger black people looked at it is, okay, you have all this money for stuff like Medicare for all. You have it for free college, but when it comes to something that would specifically impact the lives of black people like reparations, you saying no. You just straight up saying no. And I know the counter argument is, well, those programs will help everybody. Yes, but like I mentioned earlier, a lot of black people don't trust universal programs because of the history. And also, some of these very same people I see now that Bernie is behind in the polls and Biden saying that no way I'm going to pass Medicare for all, talking about not voting in the general election. When Biden is better than Trump, even if he do a public option will be better than the system we have now. And don't get me wrong, I don't support Biden at all. His record is horrible. He's been wrong on almost every major issue. So it is not about support for Biden because I don't support Biden, and Bernie is 1,000 times better than Joe Biden. However, I do find it a little bit hypocritical for people to tell black people specifically that okay, you should vote for us if you should vote for us even though we not going to do an issue you care about. But when it's an issue that y'all care about, you talking about not voting. That don't come off well. That don't come off well at all. So um, that been on my mind heavy. It definitely been on my mind heavy. But I want to talk about I definitely want to talk about what we should do going forward because I've been debating with a few brothers about reparations, right? And what they've been telling me is again, no reparations, no vote. And I was saying, all right, I understand you want reparations, but this is not one issue, not just one issue affect the black community. And what a brother hit me with was, okay, what have Trump done to specifically worsen the lives of black people? Because he was under the impression that Trump only messing with, in his words, Mexicans and immigrants. And I'm like, brother, you highly mistaken. Trump policies definitely affect black people. It affect everybody, but marginalized groups always get hit harder. So it was a few things that I told the brother, and I wanted to write this down just to, recap our conversation. I explained to him how under Trump, 7 million people have lost their health care. And a lot of those 7 million people are black or ADOS, if you want to call it that. You know, healthcare is a major issue. And I also explained to the brother, like, listen, Trump just came out with his budget, just came out with his budget. And in this budget, he's trying to cut Medicaid. And I'm going to link it to the description. There's a high percentage of black people on Medicaid. A lot of black people is on Medicaid. And this is not just, people have a stereotype of people on Medicaid just lazy and they just living off this system. It's not. It's not that. There's a lot of people that have Medicaid because they work part time. It's a lot of people that's on Medicaid that actually do work full time, but they have dependents or they just don't make enough money, or their job because they don't work enough hours don't offer benefits and then they qualify for Medicaid. There's a bunch of different reasons why some people is on Medicaid. You know, um, it's an important issue. Cutting Medicaid would drastically hurt black people specifically. Yes, yes, it would hurt black people specifically. It would help. It would hurt white people too. But do you just so is the standard is it's okay if it hurts everybody too? Like it doesn't make sense to me. That line of thinking is illogical to me. You know, so if people lose Medicaid, which is losing insurance, people's going to die. And I'm not being hyperbolic at all. Not being hyperbolic at all. You know, people will literally die if this happens. Straight up. And I think you have to talk to people like this. This is the way you have to engage with people because I don't think people get the severity of the situation. Also, I talked to him about the investigations under the Obama administration because the brother, and I'm going to get more into all of these policies in separate videos, but the brother said, "Well, Obama didn't do nothing," and I was like, "Okay, Obama didn't do enough. It's not fair that he to say that he did nothing." And I think where the disconnect is with some people, if the policy don't say black specific, they feel like it doesn't help us. And I'm just like, that's not exactly how laws work. A lot of these laws to benefit other groups, including white people, don't say white only laws, but the way it's written is to help a specific group. So like I think we're lacking this basic civics. So I explained to him some of the things Obama did, and I explained to him the ACA, how when the ACA passed, it cut the black uninsurance rate by a third. I mean, this is facts. It cut the black uninsurance rate by a third, which saved lives. Now, it wasn't what I wanted. I think we need a Medicare for all system. That's why I wanted Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren to win. We definitely needed a Medicare for all system because Obamacare, the ACA didn't go far enough, but it did save lives at the same time. I also explained to him how Obama signed an executive order to end private prisons. Straight up, he did that. You gotta give him credit on that. Now, when Trump came in office, he had his Attorney General Jeff Sessions revoke that executive order. That's a major difference because what private prisons lead to, they sign contracts with states and lead them to criminalize behavior and criminalize stuff just to get inmate population. Because with like I think it was in Ohio, it was like written where the private jails had to be filled up to I believe about 85% capacity. So to do this, you criminalize certain stuff. So when they criminalize stuff, it affects us more than other groups. So that's another thing. I was telling him about the Obama administration and the federal investigations through the Justice Department because he mentioned about all the cops killings. And again, I don't think Obama did enough on this issue, not even close. But he did more than Trump, and he did do something. One of the things he did was he put Ferguson Police Department and he put Baltimore Police Department under federal investigation, and that was a major move because it forced them to make some significant changes. However, Trump administration came in, all that's gone. You know, um, Also, if you live in a state like New York State, which is a higher tax state, like his tax bill was horrible because a lot of people in the middle class actually end up paying more taxes, got less of return, had to pay back more money because of he got rid of certain deductions. Now, that don't affect everybody, but it does affect black people that's in the middle class and some in the working class as well in higher tax states. It's a nuanced argument. That's not the best one because a lot of people don't live in, some of these states. So that's why I left that one for last. But I think I got them thinking a little bit differently. And what I really tried to drive home the point was with the Supreme Court. I really tried to drive home that point because with the Supreme Court is very, very important. And I don't think people truly understand how important the Supreme Court is. And again, I need to do more and more videos on things like this and just break it down some of these civic issues. Um, I was arguing with another brother because he was just like, not voting. I don't like, it, it's going to force the Democratic Party to come to us and they gonna cut the check. I'm like, I doubt if it works like that. The only thing that probably gonna do is have these candidates pander more to the so-called white working class, which there's black people in the working class too, but they always use that phrase. The only thing that's gonna do is that. And also, if Trump get another term, he'd probably be able to appoint at least two more justices. Ginsburg is hanging on by a thread, and that's a flip of a seat right there. And he probably get to replace Clarence Thomas as well. I mean, that's already a conservative seat, but that's a potential seat we could flip in the next 8 years. And I was trying to describe to him, okay, if you think we do, let's just say we get to pass reparations, right? If you have all these extremist judges in, and that's just the Supreme Court. I didn't even mention the two lower courts where Trump then appointed damn near 200 judges in the two lower courts. I had to explain to him the three levels of the courts because a lot of people just don't get the basic civils, and most of the cases is decided on the lower courts because the Supreme Court really don't try that many cases a year. I had to explain that as well. So if we get reparations through Congress, you think it's going to go through without one of these groups challenging it? Conservative groups challenge everything. They challenge everything. So why wouldn't they challenge? Why wouldn't they challenge a reparations bill? And if it goes to one of these right-wing extremist judges, what you think going to happen? It's probably going to get shot down. That's what probably going to happen. So just saying not voting is the answer is counterproductive. Is not true. I do think we need a specific black agenda, just like I'm progressive too. I think progressives need to work on their agenda too, and during the primaries, hammer them, and not just the presidential primaries. We need a bigger bench, whether it's for black issues, whether for progressive issues, and hopefully it's a combination of both for me, because I'm a black progressive, right? Um, we need a bigger bench to choose from than we have right now. We need more progressives in the state senates and the state house of representatives or the state assembly, whatever your state call it. We need more progressives in local government, state government, in more progressive governors. You know, we have to start winning at some of these lower levels, and then, when a presidential election come, we'll have a bigger bitch to choose from instead of having two individuals with Bernie and Liz that was in their 70s. So that's the better strategy, and some of us need to start running ourselves. And when individuals run for office, we have to support them. I was telling the brother, like, if you was really serious about just straight up cash reparations, that's all you cared about, should have supported Marianne Williamson because she was talking about what you was talking about, even though it was a low ball number. What you do is, you give them support and just be like, no, we want that number up a little bit higher. That's the way it works. They not going to cater to people that don't come out and vote. They just not. So that's why you should vote. Trump policies are actually hurting black people because it's too many people out here saying that Trump is not specifically harming black people and nothing is different, and that's just not true. It's just not true. Two things can be true at the same time. Trump can be terrible, and the Democrats don't do enough for black people. But that doesn't just because the Democrats don't do enough for black people doesn't mean that they the same as Trump. in most cases. Bloomberg, well, that was a different case because Bloomberg is a special case. Even as bad as Joe Biden is, he's pretty bad. He would be better than Trump. So that's my take on it, man. I just had to get that off my chest. I'm going to come back with some more specific policy issues. Got a bunch of playlists I'm working on. Stay tuned. I'm working for y'all. I'm working for y'all. Subscribe, share the channel, and peace out.